All right, Shalom. First, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles, elders, a great millstone that rule well, that taught us truth, and blessings to the elect of the nation Israel, where to be scattered. This is Brother Yakal coming with another lesson, and Lord will be edifying. And this is just to show you what's going on here in the UK, England, the islands, Scotland, Wales, etc. All right, because what they are trying to do and they're planning to do is to scrap jury trials. So let's just say you are charged with a crime and it goes to court. They want to get rid of juries completely. Now remember, the jury system, and many people won't know this, came from us Israelites. All right, it came from an Israelite king in the Middle Ages called Henry II. All right, Henry II. And if you look at hang on, wait, let's see. Now I put it here in Google, right? Because when you go to court, and I've been to court before, when I was 17 as a kid, I was beaten up by a giant Edomite guy. Basically what happened is I had an afternoon off at college, met with my friends. There were 6 of us, but we were in Oxford Street, which is a busy kind of shopping center place in the center of London. All the tourists go there and so forth, and we had an afternoon off. So there were 6 of us, but me and my friend, we were quite small. I was tiny back then. All right, we're in front, and my 4 friends were like 10 yards behind. And basically, a Edomite woman barged into me, and I went to say sorry, and she got rude. And she went, "Do you mind?" They gave me a dirty look. So I told her to fuck off, man. All right, and I walked on, and I should have done that because the Bible does say death and life is in the power of the tongue. Be careful how you speak, And the next memory I had was waking up in the ambulance with my friend holding my hand. And basically what happened is that after that, this woman that I bumped into, or she bumped into me, all right, she had a partner. All right, I never saw him, whatever. And rather than him coming to me and cursing me out or whatever, I walked on and he just punched me in the back of my head. He never even turned me around. So I fell face first to the ground. He started kicking me in my face, And then my friend was trying to get him off. And then finally my other 4 friends saw what's happening, and grabbed him. And he ran like the coward, the bitch that he was, And it went to court. And basically I was called as a witness. And I had an Edomite witness, an Edomite woman, a white woman, who at the time when I was unconscious on the concrete and blood was streaming from my mouth and my face, she's the one that put me in the recovery position, and she's the one that helped me with my, injuries and stuff. And she was called as a witness. I was called as a witness. The case took 2 days, and when the jury went out to deliberate, they found him guilty within 10-15 minutes. So all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai for that. And he never had any previous convictions. And the police were saying to me, well, even if he's found guilty, he won't go to prison. Guess what? He went to prison, man. They found him guilty. The judge basically said, look, it wasn't good what this young teenager did. But the reality is that you can't just lash out like that, And basically they gave him 6 months in prison for ABH, actual bodily harm. And he had to serve, I think, about 3 to 4 months of it, which was good because his woman, all right, who I bumped into, was pregnant at the time, and even when she was called as a witness, she was basically due to give birth. So he missed the birth of his own child because he was in prison. Good for that piece of shit, So this system, the jury system, all right, goes back to the 12th century. And one of the kings called Henry II, who's an Israelite, man. Okay. Now I read it for you here. I put in Google, where did 12 jurors come from? All right. Listen, the tradition of 12 jurors stems from medieval English law. Who was ruling England in that time? We were. All right. Evolving from earlier inquests and Danish influences. Yeah, because at that time you had the people that you call Vikings came over. They were Israelites as well, and they conquered England, and many of them were on the throne. All right, with King Henry II formalizing juries of 12 knights for land disputes, all right, and acquisition in the 12th century, a practice reinforced when trial by ordeal ended. All right, and that trial by ordeal is talking about before this system came into play, when Henry II, who was an Israelite, brought this in, the jurors. When you had disputes, you had to fight it out to the death. All right, you had to either fight out to the death, or you had dumb, stupid things that our people were doing, like, all right, you've got a dispute, I've got a dispute. You think that's your land, I think it's my land. All right, plunge me in the river, plunge you in the river. All right, and if you don't come up, and you drowned, then you're innocent. If you don't, you're guilty. It was total madness that we were doing. So the Heavenly Father put in the spirit of him to make jury trials. All right. So this trial by ordeal ended. All right. At making juries a crucial for determining facts. All right, through the specific number might also loosely link to biblical groups like the 12 apostles. All right, and he absolutely right. That's why Henry II, all right, did 12 jurors, and these jurors, all right, he started out with knights, all right, and knights are up there in society and stuff, but eventually it became just your average people to be judged by a jury of your peers, people who look like you, who are from the same background as you, and that's the system that we have in England now, and over there in Babylon the Great, which is America. All right, now what they're trying to do is to get rid of that. All right, okay, and all this business of where is it here? All right, if you put in Henry II, Henry II of England, these are the pictures that you're going to come up with. They're all been whitewashed. All right, they're going to show these bullshit pictures of him being an Edomite, but he wasn't. He was an Israelite. All right, he was a Hebrew Israelite. And if you look at let me see here, where is it? Hang on, let me try and find it here. I think it's got, this is him. Henry II of England reigned 1154, all right, to 1189. All right, was the first Plantagenet king, a powerful ruler who greatly expanded the English realm into the Agavian Empire, reformed English law, all right, laying the groundwork for common law and jury trials, all right. And this was, a good system that came in, all right. Now, as I said, they've portrayed him as a so-called Edomite, right? But the Middle Ages were ruled by people like this, our people, all black. This is a good website called Real History. Real History www.com. All right, and this is an excellent website because it shows you the real pictures of our ancestors. That's Charlemagne over there. All right, that's Charlemagne's shrine. Okay. See, all the people of the Middle Ages, they were all Israelites. But what happened is, they basically whitewashed. They whitewashed the pictures. When we fell out of power. All right, they whitewashed all these pictures, man. And all you need to do One of the best places to find it out is Pinterest. All right, hang on, let me try and find this. All right, let's see here. Where is it here? Aha. You just put when blacks ruled Europe. That's all you need to do, man. And voila, look what comes up. This is all history of the Middle Ages. All right, all black people ruling over white people, ruling over other blacks, so-called blacks, were Israelites. And back then, our ancestors knew who they were. All right, that's where you get all these pictures. Okay, and these are not slaves, like one Edomite tried to say. Oh well, the reason why you see all these pictures online of black people in positions of power is because that they were slaves, and when the white kings went out, they dressed up in their garments. You gotta be out of your mind if you believe all that bullshit, man. All right, so you can clearly see it, and it's a beautiful thing. All right, like it says here, why is the history of Europe's black rulers being hidden? Okay, and Henry II was one of them. So I've just showed you that to prove that, listen, this was our people, and that's the reason why he brought in this jury system, and he made it 12 jurors. All right, why did he do that? Because he knew he was part of who? The 12 tribes of Israel. All right, and in that period of time, all right, you had black Viking rulers, all right, who were Israelites as well. Okay, and there's books on it. Okay, one of them is called The True Myth. The True Myth, Black Vikings of the Middle Ages. All right, and they conquered England. Okay, in that period of time, and one of the things that changed was trial by ordeal. They got rid of that. All right, they got rid of that, and they put in what's the word? And they put in this system of having a jury trial and 12 jurors, you know, and it's making a lot of people mad, especially crackers like this. This needs to stop. No, it doesn't need to stop. You've just been lied to, and the fact is that even when they see all these books, like this is by Edomite woman called Katie Ayton Ritter. All right, a Viking, a man called Black Mountain. He was a fierce Viking warrior. You know, so the truth is coming out. All right, there's another one here, Black Viking by Bill Downey. All right, so these Edomites, so-called white people, they've just been lied to about their history. But what they want to do is get rid of jury trials. All right, and that's prophecy in the Bible. And what is that gonna do? That means that if you get charged with a crime, rather than a jury of your peers who are normal law-abiding citizens judging you, it will be magistrates from the state, which is corrupt. All right, so we've got a few videos to get through. All right, watch this one. This is by a guy called Paul Thorpe. It's interesting what he says. Let's come back.
But that's the way many people are now. And if you notice this last couple of weeks or so, there's been some sinister goings on, and I'll tell you what they are. I mean, a lot of the auditors, a lot of the YouTubers are now being targeted in some way or another by the authorities, by the media. AY Audits has been targeted. Charlie Veach has been targeted. And here it starts, isn't it? I think they're going to come after all of us one way or another. Often the punishment is the process rather than any actual punishment. But that's what happens in a communist country. They put you in fear. They make you live your life in fear. Free speech goes out the window. Freedom of movement goes out the window. The last 3 times that I've gone back home, I've been stopped by border control and put in a pen. For what? What have I done? But you just don't know what they're going to come up with, do you? You don't know what they're going to make up. What do they say? Show me the man and I'll find you the crime. And this week, things took an even more sinister turn, didn't they? Because one thing that I've always been very, very confident about is that I've never broken the law, I've never done anything wrong. And if they ever accused me of doing anything wrong, I'd simply plead not guilty, go to court in front of a jury, and I'm confident that they would find me not guilty because I haven't committed any crimes. They can't find me guilty of a crime that I haven't committed. But that's all changed now under David Lammy and Labour. Can't even believe I'm saying that. David Lammy and Labour have decided, in their wisdom, to scrap trial by jury. The first time in 800 years a British citizen can be sent to prison without a trial by jury if that's what they want.
There you go. This is exactly what they're doing, man. All right. Now, this guy's talking the truth, but the one thing he's getting, you know, which the average people think, oh, because Labour, because we have different political parties, but the two main parties are Labour, which is supposed to be for the working class, and the Conservatives, which is supposed to be for the middle to upper class. And because now Labour is in power, they're doing these laws. You know, many people like him and other people can't believe that they're doing this. It doesn't matter whether it's Labour or Conservative. They got people above them that tell them what to do, and that's what they have to do. And one of the things they want to get rid of is jury trials. All right, so we have to be careful about what we do. All right, what we say, whether it's on these videos or when we go out on the street, you know, and try and live peacefully with all men. Because at the end of the day, you know, this is gonna have a sinister outcome. And if you look at history, if you look at what's it called, the Nazis, right? All right. All right. One of the things that they did, all right, Adolf Hitler and the so-called Nazi Party, all right, they abolished jury trials. Okay, so history is just repeating itself. All right, that's all that's happening. All right, history is just repeating itself. That's why, you know, history is very important. I love history, man, especially our history. You know, I never knew that all these great people in the past were our people. You know, so look what it says here. I put the Nazis stopped jury trials. Yes, one of the first steps the Nazis took to control the legal system after Adolf Hitler came to power was to abolish jury trials. You see, they abolished it, man. This measure was a critical part of the Nazi regime broader effort to dismantle the independence of the jury, of the judiciary, and the rule of law, replacing impartial justice with a system that served the will of the Nazi Party. So, you know, this devil that is ruling over us, he did that back in the past, so he's doing that now. There's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. You know, oh, well, that was in Germany, this, that. All right, well, it's in Germany, but we're in England now. All right, and it's been 70 plus years since the Nazis fell, and then you're bringing it in yourself. So Ecclesiastes 1:9, the thing that have been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. All right, and by the way, the Nazis were funded by secret societies. Skull and Bones in America, and they had a society called the Tula Society. You know, that's where all their ideas came from. All right, so this nonsense that we're in a great age and democracy is all bullshit, man. All right, now we've seen that. There's a couple more videos. All right, let's watch this. This is very, very, and this will explain. And by the way, the guy that is presiding over this is David Lammy, who is an Israelite himself, man. I think he's of Guianan, yeah, from Guyana. over there near what's it called, near Venezuela and stuff. Yeah, he's from there, man. They're using him, all right, to push this bullshit through. All right, let's go play this.
Filing system now thinks he is qualified to rewrite the British Constitution. Reports are flooding in that Labour plans to scrap jury trials for certain offences to clear the backlog. A backlog they are mismanaging. He can't run a prison, but he wants to rig the court system. Robert Jenrick wasn't having it. He went into Parliament and dug up the receipts. Watch what happens when Lammy gets confronted with his own words from just a few years ago. This is a masterclass in exposing a hypocrite.
We now come to Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick.
Well, I'm glad to see that the Justice Secretary has finally come into work today. When 12 prisoners were mistakenly released after the introduction of his brilliant new checks, he didn't bother to come to Parliament to inform the country. But now today we are blessed. Blessed with his presence. And his past is catching up with him. Because the best opponent of the Justice Secretary's plans to curb jury trials is the Justice Secretary himself. In 2020, he said, criminal trials without juries are a bad idea. You don't fix the backlog with trials that are widely perceived as unfair. In 2017, in his report into prejudice in the criminal justice system, he found juries, and I quote, act as a filter for prejudice. But now he's become Justice Secretary, he's scrapping the very institution he once lauded. Which is it? Will the real David Lammy please stand up? And what about this? There should be a right to trial by jury in all criminal cases. Any ideas, Mr. Speaker? Who else? It's the Prime Minister this time.
So I hope you understand what he's saying. Basically, this coconut, all right, across the room here, I'm not calling him Israelite, I call him a black guy, all right, that is smiling there. He's the one that quoted a few years ago when we had the scandemic, because when the scandemic was on, all the courts were closed. So there's been a backlog, all right? So you're looking at 2 years, all right, of cases that weren't, the courts were closed. So that's caused the backlog. And by the way, they did it on purpose. And when they actually opened up everything after the scandemic ended, all right, they had courts, all right, sitting empty courts, man. Rather than saying, okay, we've had a backlog, let's try and push these cases up, this, that, and the other. They've done it on purpose. There was a woman on TV a couple of days ago who was a barrister and all that stuff, and she said the same thing. She said, you know what, there is a backlog, but we have courts and they're not staffed. Why don't you staff the courts so you can get court cases so you can relieve the backlog? But you know why they're not doing it? Because they wanted to do this all along. Problem, reaction, solution. All right? They create the problem, okay? Then the public reacts and say, oh, we want this to change, this, that, and the other. And then they bring in a solution that takes away your rights, okay? We know where this is leading, man, okay?
Does this government have no shame?
Well, I'm very grateful to the Shadow Justice Secretary, and I am a little surprised that in his tirade he never once mentioned victims. Not once. Not once in his clip. He talks about what I tweeted in 2020. We are saving and protecting jury trials. Jury trials will continue. He talks about trial by jury as if we live in the United States. 90% of criminal trials, 1.3 million, are done by our magistrate. our magistracy in this country, which has existed for 650 years, and we are going to grow our magistrates who we believe could do more.
Did you see that? Total silence on the hypocrisy. Will the real David Lammy please stand up? Notice that Lammy didn't answer the point about his flip-flopping. He pivoted immediately to victims. This is the classic trick of the modern elite. They use victims as a human shield to take away your rights. And this is the core of the problem. This government is useless at protecting you, as we saw with the escaped prisoners, but that they are highly efficient at stripping away your liberties. Let's be clear what this means. Trial by jury is the bedrock of British liberty. It dates back to the Magna Carta. It ensures that you are judged by your peers, ordinary people, not by a state-appointed judge who might be looking for a promotion from the very politicians passing these laws. In 2020, Lammy said non-jury trials were unfair. Now he's in power. He wants them. Why? Because juries are the last line of defence against state overreach. If the state passes an unjust law, a jury can refuse to convict. They are terrified of that power. They can't find the prisoners, but they want to find you guilty without a jury. That is the reality of Starmer's Britain. What do you think? Is this just incompetence with the paperwork, or is there actual malice in these plans to scrap juries?
Oh, there's malice in it. There's malice in it. They're doing exactly what the Heavenly Father wants them to do. You know, they're working with Satan on the left-hand side. Remember, these MPs, they're just puppets, man. All right? Like Labour, the so-called Prime Minister we have is called Keir Starmer. He's a part of something called the Fabian Society. All right? They're the ones that tell him what to do. And that's exactly what the Nazis did. So you see all this. You see where this is all going, man. So we have to be, what's the word? We have to be circumspect, man. You know, we have to, and what that shows you is that that the evil times that the Bible speaks about is here. All right, it's not coming; it's here. All right. This is Proverbs 27:12. A prudent man foreseeth the evil, and this is evil, man, and hideth himself. All right, but the simple passed on and are punished. Now, let's look at the word prudent here. All right.
Strong's H, 6175. Arum.
Say arum.
Second entry. Arum.
All right. So that's prudent. It means to be subtle, shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible. All right. Crafty, shrewd, sensible. So in these times, that's what we have to be. We have to be shrewd, man. You know, careful, circumspect. All right, because what they're doing is evil, because they're taking away these rights. They're using problems that they created, and then they're solving it by taking away your rights. And this is a tried and tested method, like I told you. I know about World War II and what happened. What's it called in World War II? Not just with the Germans, but with the British and all that kind of stuff. All that was all bullshit, man. Just secret societies. All of these governments around the world, they all have secret societies, man. And by the way, even when we were in power in this period of time, all right, these all whitewashed pictures of Edomites pretending that they're us. All right. Even Henry VIII. This is a picture of Henry VIII as a child with, Prince Henry afterwards Henry VIII. And you can see that he had his afro there and so forth. All right. Even in this time when we were ruling Europe, there were secret societies that were influencing, the kings and so forth, man, and society in general. Okay. All right. This is Isaiah. Couple more scriptures, we're close. Not gonna be that long. Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. And that is an unrighteous decree, and right grievousness which they have prescribed. All right. Verse 2, to turn aside the needy from judgment. And that's what they're doing with this wicked, taking away jury trials. And he said, oh, well, we have magistrates that preside over most cases. Yeah, because they've been doing that slowly. Slowly but surely. Oh, no. If it's this crime, let it be a magistrate. This, that, and the other. And the magistrates, how do you know that they're going to be impartial and non-biased? You know, behind closed doors, the government will say, listen, let's make an example of these people. And this is happening. And this is going to affect everyone. But who's it going to affect most? The elect of nation Israel. All right? The elect, man. Don't be fooled that they're behind closed doors. They know who we are. All right? And they're setting the stage so they can try and shut us down and put us to death. All right? To turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right. See, the right from the poor of my people. You know? And even with the jury trials, Israelites don't get a fair crack at the whip. So if you eliminate that, all right, they're trying to say, oh, well, when it comes to murder and this, that, and the other, it will be jury trials. But how do you know they're not going to change that? They're going to change that, man. All right. So to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. So it's not going to be, a good time. All right. That we're in now, man. Okay. And what does that remind you of? That reminds you of the elect, the prophecy of the elect having their heads chopped off. And I guarantee you, like in the Middle Ages, we had trials, man. All right? We had trials in church courts and so forth. You know, and if you're found guilty, sometimes you'll be hung, drawn, and quartered, or you have your head chopped off. All right? And that's what's going to happen to the elect. So they're setting the stage with taking away all these rights and putting all these wicked laws in, all right, which is going to impact on everyone, but it's going to impact on the elect as well. This is Revelations 20:4. And I saw the thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded, chopped, head, beheaded, man, guillotine, boom, all right, for the witness of Yahushua. Okay, so this is a future prophecy where the elect is going to be having their head chopped off because they're not going to partake in this wicked new order system. All right, and for the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beasts, which is this wicked system. All right, America, NATO, the EU, neither their image, which is the system. That's why they're bringing all this infrastructure of digital ID and so forth. Neither had received his mark. All right, his mark, which is what? The MOTB, the microchip, in their foreheads or in their hands. All right, and they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years. And that 1,000 years is going to be in the kingdom. First 1,000 years, these heathens are going to be really brutalized, man, for 1,000 years. All right, but the elect is not going to take, all right, the MOTB. They're not going to worship the beast or his image, etc. So these are going to be laws that they bring in place to say you have to take the MOTB. All right, you have to, but the elect is going to say no. So all the things that they're doing now is just just stepping stones towards this prophecy happening. All right, so that's why we need to be occupied in the spirit of prophecy. Okay. Last scripture, 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober and be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking who he may devour. And he does that by putting these unrighteous decrees in. All right, so I pray you're edified. Until the next lesson, Shalom.